it can get overwhelmed because the algorithm, as soon as you look at one certain type of video, that's all the videos you're
Yeah,
getting about
yeah.
that. So it's like, whoa, this can get really overwhelming with the financial advice. So it's like you need to switch it up and look at like cute puppy videos or something. But one, don't overwhelm yourself. Find one or two people or three people that you like, that you think their info is helpful.
Hmm.
And cross-reference it. If they say something, then do some research yourself on it. I wouldn't just blindly follow, what if influencers saying, like then do some research, but they're at least opening the door for you. They're at least bringing something to your attention for
Hmm.
you to think about. But find like a couple of people that you like and like that's it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Yollab Central. Today, I am joined with Shari. So, Shari, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about this conversation today?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. If you feel a little weird about money, if you have questions about money, if you avoid opening up your bank account apps, if you are curious about investing, don't know where to start. So if you kind of feel like you have a icky relationship with money, this will be a good conversation for you, I think.
Okay, now I like how you're trying to be relatable and all. So, to the audience, right? I mean, there are a lot of people who are young and starting out their journey in the career and still getting to know how money works, right? So, some young adults, and obviously, there are a lot of people hearing who are in their mid management who have some good experience with money, right? But somebody who's starting out, they've just started earning their first paycheck and getting to know money. They're trying to spend a lot. They want to enjoy their life. But if they have to take baby steps from the first paycheck itself, uh, how should they be starting? If we can go in that direction from the way forward.
So from the start, and this sounds crazy, but from your very first paycheck, you need to make sure that you are saving for your future self,
Okay.
saving for retirement. And it sounds crazy because it's like, I just started working. Am I really going to start saving for retirement? But yes, 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 you are. Because ideally, if you do it right, you're going to be in retirement for longer than you're going to be working for. So we need to make sure that we have a lot of money saved. So the first thing is to make sure you make saving a habit,
Mhm.
and paying your future self. And automation is really your friend when it comes to that. So even if it's $50 a pay, whatever it is, save it, set it aside. That's the biggest lesson for. And I wish someone, I did a really good job of saving for retirement when I was young, but I also needed to save some not for retirement money, like have it liquid and accessible.
Yeah.
So I wish someone said that to me, like just, make your first goal to get your bank account to a certain amount. Then
Yeah.
once you achieve that, then work on an investment account, work on retirement, but constantly
Hmm.
save and automate.
Yeah. Okay, now I think there are three different buckets that you've created, right? One is for retirement, one is the immediate requirement, and then one is probably for spending or something. I know you want to call it luxury or recreational spending, right? Now, these are very three different buckets where people are very separately emotionally attached, right? One is a very long future goal, looking at retirement. One is the immediate saving corpus which one needs to have. I know some people say it should be a 6 month corpus, some call it a year, and I mean it should sustain a year for you, right? How do you look at it? And I have another question, but we'll go to that later. So let's get to this first.
Sure. So when it comes to just saving, you, right, we need to save for, our future selves, which future selves could be 2 weeks from now or 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And then the in between, right?
Hmm.
Because, so what the message I put out is to save in an emergency fund.
Hmm.
And you could Google what is an emergency fund? How much should I have an emergency fund? And the typical rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months of expenses. So what most people's brains do is they go, okay, well, I'll either have 3 months or I'll have 6 months. But what they're missing is there's also 4 and 5 months you could have in between, right? So, but first figure out what's 3 months worth of expenses, what's 6 months worth of expenses.
Mhm.
And if your job is steady, like there's not much risk of you losing it. If you
Yeah.
have a consistent income, if you rent, you don't own a home, you don't have kids, you could probably lean more towards 3 months worth of cash.
Mhm.
Conversely, if your income is lumpy, if you're a salesperson, if you're an entrepreneur, if your income is not consistent, you probably want to have more like 6 months. If you own a home, something's going to go wrong with it. So just looking at the different factors of, a single 23-year-old
Yeah.
renting an apartment does not need necessarily six
Yeah.
months worth of expenses saved, right?
Yeah.
So just looking at like the risk factors, that determines how much is in an emergency fund. And here's what's important is that an emergency fund needs to be put away with lock and key, meaning
Okay.
we're not borrowing from it. We're
Yeah.
not borrowing from it when our checking account gets low. We're not taking from it if we're going on vacation.
Hmm.
So once I also explain that to people, like we're putting it away and we're forgetting it exists,
Yeah.
the amount we need in it all of a sudden goes down. Well, maybe more like 3 months sounds better,
Yeah.
right? And that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine,
Hmm.
right? Because you have that emergency taken care of. It would have to be quite an emergency for you to use up your entire
Yeah.
emergency fund, right?
Yeah.
So if 3 months is the number, because now well, I can never touch it, that's fine.
Hmm.
But then we have like the intermediate, essentially between now and retirement.
Yeah.
That's vacations, that's buying a house, buying a car, improvements to your house,
Yeah.
maybe a future emergency fund, whatever that stuff is. It's money that you don't need right away, but you're going to need it liquid. You're going
Yeah.
to need it accessible because retirement money is not accessible. We can't touch that,
Hmm.
right? Without paying taxes and penalties and all of that stuff. So you need to have that in between bucket.
Yeah.
And that's where like you can make it a game of, well, let me save for my next vacation. And my next vacation is going to be $3,000. Let me get this number to 3,000. Okay,
Yeah.
that feels good. Now let me get it to this. Or let me now I'll start investing because I feel like I have enough cash. Now I'll start investing. So by gamifying it, one makes it a little bit more well, one, it makes it more fun. It doesn't
Mhm.
make it as like, what am I saving for? I'm never going to use this money.
Yeah.
You're rewarding yourself by making it a game and really thinking about what are my goals? What do I want to achieve versus just like socking away as much money as possible.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the other question that I wanted, right, is counterintuitive to the very conversation we are having about saving, right? Now, there are a lot of finfluencers out there who call themselves financial influencers who are out there saying that, yeah, you are just young. Okay, you should be saving, but then the first paycheck or the first couple of paychecks are not necessarily for saving. Go out, have a fun time, and then obviously just keep it in mind that you have to be saving. And now it's all well and done, but yeah, does that discipline uh, come through after 3, 4 paychecks where a person is trying to get out of the conundrum that, yeah, I've been having good fun, now I should start saving? Uh, how do you take this?
You can have fun and you can save. You can have fun and be responsible or do things for your future self.
Yeah.
Because if and also with the finfluencers, like who are they? Are they credible because they paid off $90,000 of debt? Does that make them credible to give advice? Maybe, maybe not.
Uh-huh.
Do they have a career in finance? Like, what is their background? So I'll look at, and some of them are great and some of them give really good messages. I may not agree with 100% of it, but I'm sure people don't agree with 100% of what I say. So one, I would say, like, where is your advice coming from? Are they
Hmm.
credible? Are they a money expert or did they just get themselves out of a hole
Hmm.
and now they think that they're good with money?
Hmm.
So I will start off with that. Second, I'm all about having fun. Like I will never say like you can't you know you need to save everything and the extremes. Because extremes either way are not good.
Yeah.
With anything in life, extremes both either,
Yes.
extremes are no good.
Yeah.
So yeah, have fun. Like do it. No, I'm not stopping you. Like I hate the don't buy a stop buying your $5 latte. Like that's dumb advice
Hmm.
because the $5 latte may be the best part of someone's day. It's where
Yeah.
they go in, they see their neighbors, their friends, they know the barista knows their order, they have some, they have some chit-chat conversation before they go to work. Like that may be the best part of your day. So who am I to say you can no longer have that because it costs too much money or it's not a smart way to spend your money, quote unquote.
Hmm.
So what I do, what I subscribe to is needs, wants, wishes.
Hmm.
And if you Google this, it's around. I did not create it myself. I created the wishes part of it. I coined that, but needs, wants, wishes. So needs, 50% of your income should go to needs.
Okay.
Okay. So, and where traditional budgeting fails us is that we think needs are basic necessities.
Hmm.
That's not true. Needs are things that we need in our life, and that's different for everyone. That
Yeah.
could be Netflix. That could be getting your hair done.
Yeah.
That could be going out for getting a coffee 3 times a week. Whatever it is, like, no, I need that because my quality of life will drastically decline if you take that away from me. So I need that.
Hmm.
And that's fine. No
Yeah.
one's questioning it. You do you. So right there already we're building in a little bit of fun. Like we're
Yeah.
not depriving, right?
Hmm.
So 50% or so of your income should go to needs. If you live somewhere more expensive or you're single, everything's on you, it might be more like 60%. But like if you are house hunting or apartment hunting or car hunting or doing, if you keep in mind like 50% of your income, your
Hmm.
take home income, that helps just provide some guardrails to know what you can afford and what's
Hmm.
realistic.
Hmm.
Okay. Then 30% of your income goes to wants. This is all the stuff that makes life better, but we could live without it if push came to shove. If
Yeah.
we're an entrepreneur and we had a slow quarter, like, okay, I can do without my wants
Yeah.
for this quarter, right? And life's still good because I still have Netflix, I still have my weekly coffee or what I still am going out to dinner. So life's still good. It could be
Yeah.
better, right? But it still is good if we have to
Yeah.
take away our wants. So wants are stuff that makes life better, but we can live without. And that's 30% of your income. I mean, that's a lot. That's still a lot of fun that we can
Yeah.
have with 30% of our
That's
income.
true.
And then 20% of it is the saving, whether it's, and I call it wishes because it's building up your net worth
Mm.
for the future, for an emergency, for retirement, for the vacation you want to go on. Whatever it is, that's what 20%. Debt reduction, paying off your
Yeah.
student loans, all of that stuff, that's the 20%.
Hmm.
And that's your wishes. So by having those guardrails and those percentages,
Hmm.
because if you're only focused on saving, you're
Hmm.
going to create what I call the caged animal effect, which is, I put my puppy in its crate and he's a good boy and he sits in there and it's okay, fine. But
Hmm.
like after like a couple hours, he's like, get me out of here. And then when
Yeah.
I let him out, he runs around my house with zoomies and goes crazy.
Hmm.
That's the same thing with restrictive budgeting.
Yeah.
You can be a good boy, good girl for a period of time and be really restrictive and follow your budget. But
Yeah.
then at a certain point, you're going to break free and go, this sucked. I'm now spending everything.
Yeah.
I'm making up for all my lost time. And you're undoing all the good you did. So
Yeah.
that's why we have to have fun built into everything.
Hmm. Okay. Now, since we talked about holding up money, right? Like hoarding it for no reason per se, just because we are, I know, just uh, caught up with the idea that we have to save, save, save. Okay. Now, obviously, there are a lot of people who love the idea of saving. Okay. And there are people who get caught up with the idea that they have to be saving and not be spending on not even their needs, right? But at some point they break, as you mentioned, that. you just break through and then spend everything. Because at some point you see this huge corpus of money in your bank account and you feel like, no, this money is just sitting idle doing nothing, right? I should be using it. But what are the better ways that you suggest people to actually be using that corpus for rather than money sitting idle? Because if money rotates, it grows, right? I mean, you put it somewhere and it comes back in some other form. So, how do you suggest people to actually use that corpus if they have created that wants saving, right? As you mentioned, that corpus, that 30% corpus for wants, if that has grown up, rather than using it up in a want, rather than why not go into investment or something of that sort?
So if someone is a money hoarder, is what I call them, and they just keep on wanting to put money away, put money away, put money away, they're never going to have enough. They're going to say, well, once I get my bank account to this,
Mhm.
I'll feel comfortable and I'll buy the house, I'll go on the vacation, I'll do this.
Yeah,
And then what happens? They get their money there and they go, I really need a little bit more and a
yeah,
little bit more. And the carrot's always dangling.
yeah.
That is a personality type, right?
Okay.
It's very hard to break that.
Hmm.
Usually that personality type needs a third party, an advisor, for example, to say, okay, you are on track for your goals. You are doing this. You're saving. I'm giving you permission to do this. It is okay. It
Right.
is not going to blow anything up if you go on this trip. If you so usually it takes a a neutral party intervention to come in
Mhm.
and say it is okay for you to do this. Because what the hoarding is just coming from insecurity. The hoarding is coming from I don't feel like I have enough money. And usually that's stuff from like your childhood, maybe hearing your parents argue about money, or if you didn't grow up with any money or whatever it is. So it's usually
Yeah,
a deep-seated belief that you have. And you need someone to come in with the facts unemotionally and say, you can do this. It's okay. It's
right.
going to be okay, and give you the permission.
Hmm. Okay. Now, talking about investments, right? Just randomly talking about investments. So obviously there's a lot of volatility in the current global markets and in regional markets as well. But there are a lot of safe bets. And for somebody who's just starting out, right? People say mutual funds are safe or probably go into a retirement fund, right? Because that's the end goal at some point of time because you're saving for retirement. But then for intermediate needs, mutual funds are good. Somebody who's not well versed with the markets, how should they be approaching mutual funds or some other kind of fund, ETFs or something of that sort?
Yeah, so I'm a fan of ETFs. An ETF is called it stands for an exchange traded fund. And so if you were to and exchange traded funds are new. And when I say they're new, they're like 35 years old. Like they're not brand new, but they're way newer than mutual funds and stocks are. So the way ETFs were created is that if we look at the market, you see the Dow, you see the S&P 500, you see the Nasdaq. Those are indices. They track companies.
Yeah.
So you can't buy the S&P 500. So if someone says what did the market do today, that's what they're thinking of, the Dow or the S&P 500 generally. So if a client were to call me and say, buy me the S&P 500, you can't because it's 500 companies,
Yeah.
right? You could buy 500 stocks, but then it's changing and like that's a lot of work and a lot to keep track of, and you'd need a fair amount of money to do it. So ETFs were created to track the index, to mimic what the S&P is doing, what the Dow is doing. So then now when a client calls and says, "Get me the S&P 500," you can get them an S&P 500 ETF, which will be pretty close to what the S&P 500 is doing.
Yeah.
So that's how ETFs were created. And they're also very cost efficient. They're inexpensive to own, where mutual funds are a little bit more expensive to own. They have higher internal costs because there's a lot of trading going on inside of the
Yeah.
fund. So the so in my opinion, ETFs are a good place to start because you can get very diversified very quickly with just a handful of ETFs.
Yeah.
Um, and they're cost efficient. So if you like just Google like a good what's a good ETF for me to invest in? Like an ETF is going to come up and it'll explain what's in it. You want something diversified. If you're younger, you can likely take on a little bit more risk versus
Yeah.
someone that's older.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you lose some money, it's not the end of the world. You're going to make it back. The markets recover. You just need to give it time, right? So, but not every investment's created equal, not every ETF's created equal. And now there's an ETF for anything you can think of. It's now not just now indices, it's like healthcare, it's technology, it's female run companies. Like there's an ETF for anything you can think of. So you can hold a handful of ETFs and be diversified. So I think that's a good place to start, using resources that are available to you. I mean, use ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I'm so such and such years old. I have this much money to invest. What do you think is a good portfolio for me?" They'll
Right.
come up with something, and it's not bad. Like it's not half bad. So that's a good place to start. So
Mhm.
that's a good way to play around with it and feel like you have some confidence.
Mhm.
Once your money is accumulating, you do want to talk to a professional. You do want to work with an advisor to guide you through. But if
Yeah.
you're just starting off and you're like, I don't even know what I would say to an advisor, I don't think I have enough money to talk to an advisor. That's usually not the case. Some advisors it is the case, but other advisors it's not. But that is a good place to like get your feet wet, cut your teeth, get used to the concept of investing.
Mhm. Okay, now I want to talk about what you've been doing, right? So, in the work that you do, you talk to clients and talk to so many people. Now, what's one mistake that most of your clients are making, and how could they just get over it? If you'd like to share.
Um, so I would say that a mistake a mistake clients are making or prospective clients are making is that they're just waiting to get advice. They're intimidated.
Uh-huh.
They are taking a while. They're second guessing themselves. No one ever says I regret hiring my financial advisor like when I did. Like everyone says like I wish I got them earlier. I
Uh-huh.
wish I hired them earlier. So
Right.
it's never too early to seek advice. If you have a question, if you're curious about money, like that now's the time to find an advisor and find someone like you. Find someone you're comfortable talking to that can feel like a friend. Don't
Mhm.
get some don't use someone that is intimidating.
Mhm.
You're not comfortable around. Like that person's not going to help you. You
Mhm.
need someone that you're comfortable talking to and gives you the confidence in your
Yeah.
decision making
Mhm.
process.
Right. And now since we're talking about advising, right, we talked about influencers earlier, right, out there on social media. Now, there's a dearth of people out there on platforms, I mean, even on financial websites, there are different people writing different articles, suggesting different stocks or whatever financial advice. And then there is a whole different set of people out there on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, who are giving out free financial advice, kind of free financial advice, but how should people buy into such ideas, right? What are the checks and balances that they should be having?
Yeah, so being open to the advice is great. It can get overwhelmed because the algorithm, as soon as you look at one certain type of video, that's all the videos you're
Yeah,
getting about
yeah.
that. So it's like, whoa, this can get really overwhelming with the financial advice. So it's like you need to switch it up and look at like cute puppy videos or something. But one, don't overwhelm yourself. Find one or two people or three people that you like, that you think their info is helpful.
Hmm.
And cross reference it. If they say something, then do some research yourself on it. I wouldn't just blindly follow, what if influencers saying, like then do some research, but they're at least opening the door for you. They're at least bringing something to your attention for
Mhm.
you to think about. But find like a couple of people that you like and like that's it.
Mhm.
Because then if you have too much in your algorithm, too much in your feed, it could then start to contradict itself, the advice, which then gets super overwhelming. But also know like you're one of thousands of people that are watching it. So, they don't know you. So they're
Mhm.
just putting blanket statements out there. So it's up to you to research it and then take the next best steps.
Okay. Now, I don't know if this question flows into this, but just based on a lot of people talking about it, right? That a lot of influencers come together, suggest the same stock, and then try to blow it up, right? I know. I think we saw it with the Reddit and GameStop
Yeah.
fiasco that happened, right?
Yeah.
Um, could that have been avoided if people were more sane with their, I mean, investment choices or something of that sort? And can one person avoid taking such a step and losing money in something like that when it happens?
So the in my opinion, the way to make money with investing, it's not sexy.
Yeah.
It is not this one stock. It is
Yeah.
to be diversified, invest for the long term, do
Hmm.
not be emotional, set it and forget it.
Hmm.
Yeah, everyone can make money off of trading, buying, selling quickly. Oftentimes, though, when you talk to those people, they only tell you their wins and not their losses. So you have to take some of what they're saying with a grain of salt.
Hmm.
If you want to if the idea of trading sounds exciting to you and it's like, hey, I'd like to try that, just take a bit of your money and do it with that. So
Yeah.
then if you do lose, it's not the end of the world. You didn't lose your life savings. So
Uh,
like if you have $50,000, 5,000, play with 5,000 and
mhm.
leave the other in your very not exciting, globally diversified portfolio that is going to go up and down, but in general, it's growing. That is, in my opinion, the best mentality to have around it. Like, because
Mhm.
yeah, it sounds exciting and it's like, let me try something, let me get in on it. Cool. Just don't put your life savings in it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, oh, I specifically don't have anything. Just want to ask, so before I close, uh, what have you been doing through your life? Just wanted to know so that the audience can know, basically.
Yeah. So, my I do two things. I'm a financial advisor, but I also have a podcast. My podcast is called Everyone's Talking Money, and on the podcast, I talk about like a lot of this that we're talking about, the emotional stuff when it comes to money,
Mhm.
some basic financial best practices, financial literacy. I interview experts in mindset, divorce, all of so because money and life really blend together and they
Yeah.
shouldn't be separate.
Hmm.
How your health affects your wallet. So that's what I cover on the podcast. So it really just feels like friends talking, not finance bros coming at you with all of this yelling at you and what you should and shouldn't do with your money. So it's really just getting to the root emotional side of money.
Hmm.
And so again, that's called Everyone's Talking Money, and you can find that anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Okay, one last question before we close. So you mentioned the emotional side of investing and saving money, right? Now, there's this very big emotional when it comes to investments that once people see a particular stock dropping in their portfolio, the urge to sell it and cut short your losses is so huge, but people don't realize that yeah, the market will jump back, and at some point of time, if the stock is healthy, it will come back and probably grow better. How can people come out of this?
So if you have $1,000 and it grows to 10,000 and then it goes down to 5,000, you have not lost any money until you actually cash it out.
Yeah.
Until you actually say, that's it, I'm done, cash it out, you have not lost any money. So you have to think of it as it is real money there, but it isn't at the same time. So then it's just numbers. Just look at it as numbers and it goes up, it goes down. You are not guaranteeing that you're losing money until you cash out your investment.
Hmm.
So have patience, wait, keep in the long term. The money that you need 3 months from now shouldn't be invested. That should be in a savings account. So if you're not using this money for a year plus, excuse me, you're going to be able to handle some volatility. And generally speaking, markets come back. Unless, that company collapsed spectacularly and it's never coming back, then okay, fine. But again, that lends to diversification. We shouldn't have so much money in one stock that if
Yeah.
it were to decline, it ruins our portfolio.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Sherry. This was an amazing conversation going from young generation investing and saving their first paycheck to just random investment discussions that we just had. Thank you so much for joining me in. To the audience who's been watching and listening, if you liked what we talked about, do leave a like. The comment section is open for questions, suggestions, perspectives to what we talked about. And don't forget to subscribe before you close the window itself. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Sherry. Uh, Now, one more question before I close. Since we talked about influencers, just this question. If there was a platform, right, for influencers and business owners to come together to collaborate, okay, what would you think of such a platform? Would that be useful for as from a business owner perspective or an influencer perspective? If
I think so. I mean, I think everyone can learn from each other and everyone can utilize each other's geniuses for mutual benefit. So anytime people come together for the greater good, I think it's completely beneficial.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that feedback. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much for joining.